The massive doors of the Galactic Council chamber opened with a thunderous sound that echoed throughout the cavernous hall. Ambassador Kelly Adams took a deep breath as she led the small human delegation forward. The council chamber stretched before them like an ocean of alien faces. Thousands of representatives from across the galaxy perched in rising tiers that seemed to reach the stars themselves. Floating platforms carried smaller species, while massive aquatic tanks housed delegates who could not breathe. Kelly felt the weight of 7 billion human lives on her shoulders as she approached the central speaking platform. The Earth had only discovered faster than light travel 15 years ago, and now they stood before the governing body that controlled over 3,000 worlds. The 5 other humans behind her walked with measured confidence, though Kelly knew they felt the same nervous energy coursing through them. The Grand Arbiter, a towering 12-foot being with crystalline skin that refracted light in hypnotic patterns, loomed at the center of the chamber. Flanking the Arbiter were the High Ministers, representatives of the founding species of the Council. Their expressions were unreadable to human eyes, but their body language suggested suspicion. "Welcome humans to the Grand Council of Galactic Civilization." The Arbiter spoke, its voice resonating directly in their minds. "You stand accused of violating Statute 793, unauthorized militarization of a protected sector. How do you respond?" Kelly stepped forward, aware that every movement was being scrutinized by the alien delegates. "We were unaware of any such statute." Ambassador Adams replied, her voice clear and unwavering. "Earth has received no official contact from the Council prior to your fleet entering our system. 3 months ago." A murmur rippled through the chamber as thousands of alien species communicated their disbelief or outrage. The representative of the Voltrex Imperium, a reptilian being with scales that shifted color with its emotions, turned deep red. "Ignorance of galactic law is no excuse," the Voltrex hissed. "Your species has constructed military vessels capable of destroying entire planets." Kelly nodded calmly. "We built defensive capabilities only after detecting unknown vessels at the edge of our system. For 10 years we observed silent ships monitoring Earth. Would any species represented here not prepare defenses when unknown watchers surround their homeworld?" The chamber erupted in chattering clicks, whistles, and rumbles as the delegates discussed this revelation. Kelly had played her first card, revealing that humans knew they had been observed. The Grand Arbiter raised a crystalline limb, and silence fell immediately. "Is this true?" demanded the Arbiter, turning to the monitoring committee. A small gray being with enormous black eyes stood reluctantly. "Standard observation protocols were followed," it said. "We maintained distance as required by law." "And did you attempt contact with Earth as required by the same law?" Kelly asked, her voice echoing in the sudden silence. She activated her datapad, projecting a holographic display of the Galactic Legal Code section 42, paragraph 7, requiring first contact procedures before any judgment of primitive species. The gray being sank back into its seat without answering. The human delegation had spent months studying the legal codes obtained from a sympathetic Arcanian trader. Kelly could see the surprise in the postures of many council members. They had not expected humans to know their own laws. The Arbiter conferred quietly with the High Ministers before addressing the chamber again. "The accusation is modified," he announced. "The humans stand accused instead of developing forbidden technologies. How do you respond to this charge, Ambassador?" Kelly smiled slightly. They had anticipated this pivot. "We developed only what was necessary for survival," she said. "Our system lies at the edge of Raxan territory." She gestured to a delegation of predatory avian beings whose feathers ruffled at being mentioned. "We detected their scout ships approaching Earth 3 times in the past decade." Another wave of murmurs swept the chamber, louder this time. The Raxan representative stood abruptly on powerful taloned legs. "The humans lie," he screeched. "We have no interest in their primitive world." Kelly tapped her datapad again, and a new hologram appeared showing Raxan scout ships clearly, identified by their distinctive wing configuration, approaching Earth orbit with weapons active. The dates and coordinates scrolled beside each image. Documentation provided by an anonymous source within the Raxan fleet, she said calmly. The Raxan delegate shrieked in outrage while other council members turned to stare at the avian delegation. Kelly had played her strongest card, information, purchased at enormous cost from a Raxan commander whose gambling debts had exceeded his loyalty. Grand Arbiter's crystalline form pulsed with energy. Serious accusations have been made that require investigation. He stated the human delegation will remain on the council station until this matter is resolved. As Kelly and her team were escorted from the chamber, she caught the eye of diplomat Aaron Phillips, who gave her the slightest nod. Their strategy had worked. Phase 1 of humanity's introduction to galactic politics had gone exactly as planned. Rather than appearing as helpless primitives, they had demonstrated knowledge, resourcefulness, and political acumen. The delegation was led to spacious quarters clearly designed for much larger beings. Kelly gathered her team once they were alone. "They underestimate us," she said. "That gives us advantage. The oldest trick in diplomacy: make them think you know more than you do." Science Officer Mia Reyes nodded. "They expected us to beg for mercy, not cite their laws against them." Military advisor Jackson leaned forward. "But the Raxan delegation will retaliate," he warned. "They've lost face today." Kelly smiled. "That's exactly what we need," she replied. "The more they act against protocol, the stronger our position becomes. For humanity to survive among these ancient species, we need allies. The Council must see some members as untrustworthy and others must see us as valuable." Cultural specialist Dr. William Foster looked troubled. "I studied their expressions as much as possible." He said the reptilian delegates and the aquatic species seemed intrigued by our approach. The hive mind collectives were uniformly hostile. "Our next move focuses on the trading guilds," Kelly explained. "They control resources across 20 sectors. The militaristic blocs, like the Raxan, only understand strength, but the merchants understand opportunity." As the human delegation prepared their strategy for the days ahead, a silent observer watched from the shadows. A figure hidden from both council security and human awareness recorded everything with keen interest. The humans were proving far more interesting than expected. Their knowledge of council politics suggested they had help from someone within the galactic community, someone who wanted to upset the careful balance of power that had existed for millennia. Outside their quarters, hundreds of alien delegates were already forming new alliances and plotting responses to the human arrival. Some saw opportunity, others saw threat, but all recognized that the galaxy had just changed. The primitive species from a backwater planet had refused to play the role assigned to them. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage not with begging hands, but with evident strategies and confidence. The coming days would determine if they would become allies, enemies, or simply another extinct species that had reached too far too fast. Kelly Adams stared out the viewport at the massive council station stretching across the starfield like an artificial constellation. Tomorrow they would meet with the Trade Federation representatives, and the true negotiation would begin. Earth's future hung in the balance. But for the first time since discovering they were not alone in the universe, humanity held cards worth playing. The Trade Federation hall dwarfed even the main council chamber, its vaulted ceilings disappearing into swirling mists hundreds of meters above. Ambassador Kelly Adams and her team stood before representatives of the 12 most powerful trading conglomerates in the galaxy. Merchant princes with skin like burnished gold sat alongside chitinous insectoid brokers, while translucent beings that seemed made of living glass examined the humans with compound eyes that reflected the humans back thousands of times. "This is an unofficial meeting," the lead merchant, a massive being named Vorex, announced, his 7 arms moving in continuous graceful patterns. "The council has not yet ruled on your species status. Why should we risk sanctions to speak with you?" Kelly stepped forward with confidence. "Because waiting for council approval means missing opportunity," she replied simply. She activated a holographic display showing Earth's solar system. "Our asteroid belt contains rare minerals. Our oceans hold biological compounds unknown in the wider galaxy. And our planet produces art and entertainment unique in known space. Our isolation has created resources you cannot find elsewhere." The merchant stirred with interest, particularly the insectoid representatives whose antennae quivered at the mention of rare resources. Diplomat Aaron Phillips moved forward carrying sealed containers. "We brought samples," he said. "Each of you may examine one. Agreements can be discussed later." The containers were distributed among the merchant representatives. Inside each was something different: spices from Earth, exotic hardwoods, samples of human art, even simple toys and games carefully selected to intrigue each species based on the cultural research Dr. Foster had conducted. The crystalline merchant held up a small wooden puzzle box, turning it in slender, translucent fingers. "We have technology that could build cities in days. What need have we for primitive crafts?" Kelly smiled. "Access to Earth. Markets means exclusive rights to introduce your technology to a fresh consumer base of 7 billion beings," she explained. "A technology market completely untapped where your products would face no competition from established galactic brands." Economic. Officer Lisa Martinez stepped forward, projecting charts and growth projections. "Earth represents the most significant untapped market discovered in the last century." She stated, "Our population embraces new technology rapidly, unlike many established worlds where tradition slows adoption." The merchants conferred among themselves using translators that converted their varied communication methods. A being that resembled a floating octopus moved forward, trailing tendrils of bioluminescent light. "The Council plans to place restrictions on Earth trade," it said, its voice a series of translated pulses. "How would you circumvent this?" Kelly looked directly at the creature. "The question implies you already operate beyond Council restrictions in other sectors," she observed carefully. The merchant representatives grew very still. The human had just acknowledged the open secret of galactic trade, that Council regulations were routinely bypassed by the powerful trade conglomerates. After a tense moment, Vorex laughed, a booming sound that shook the smaller objects in the room. "The human understands," he said to his colleagues. Then to Kelly, "You play this game well for newcomers. You mistake our newness to the galactic community for inexperience." Kelly replied, "Our species has thousands of years of trading history. Merchants and diplomats have always found ways to achieve mutual benefit regardless of political restrictions." The meeting continued for hours as specific resources and potential agreements were discussed carefully. But by the time the human delegation returned to their quarters, they had secured provisional trade agreements with 9 of the 12 conglomerates, pending Earth's official status resolution. Back in their quarters, Military Advisor Jackson paced nervously. "The Trade Federation has influence, but they cannot override the Security Council," he warned. "We still face serious charges." Kelly nodded, removing her formal diplomatic collar. "That's why our next meeting is with the Science Directorate," she explained. "The Galactic Council balances power between military trade and scientific interests. We need allies in at least 2 factions." Dr. Foster brought up profiles of the key scientific representatives tomorrow. "We meet beings who have studied the universe for thousands of years," he said. "Our scientific knowledge will seem primitive. Technology." Officer Mia Reyes smiled for the first time since arriving at the station. "Actually," she said, "our scientific approach may be our greatest advantage." She brought up comparison charts showing publication and discovery rates. Most galactic research follows established methodologies. Humans question fundamentals and make intuitive leaps. Their science is efficient but lacks creative disruption. As they prepared for the next day's meeting, none of them noticed the small device in the corner of the room recording everything. A device planted, not by Council security, but by a third party with its own agenda. Across the station, the Raxan delegation gathered in their private chamber, feathers bristling with rage. The commander slammed a clawed fist on the table. "Those primitive apes humiliated us before the entire Council," he shrieked. "Our hunting rights to their system must be restored." A smaller Raxan stepped forward. "Our information indicates the humans have allies within the Council," she said. "Someone provided them with our legal codes and evidence of our scouting missions. The question is, who benefits from human survival?" In another section of the massive station, the Grand Arbiter communicated with the High Ministers. "The humans display unusual adaptability," one minister noted. "They understand leverage despite their primitive technology." Another minister, a being of living shadow, disagreed. "They are dangerous precisely because they are primitive. Their history shows continuous warfare. They cannot be trusted with advanced technology." The Arbiter considered this. "The laws are clear. Primitive. Species must be evaluated for potential threat or benefit. The humans have demonstrated both. Their diplomatic skill suggests potential as allies. Their military development suggests threat. We must determine which path they will follow, unknown to any of them. An ancient faction long thought dormant monitored these conversations. Their representatives had been silent during the human hearing, watching and evaluating. The appearance of this new species might finally allow them to implement plans. Millennia in the making. Dawn cycle on the station brought renewed activity. The human delegation prepared to meet the Science Directorate, the most reclusive and potentially most powerful faction within the council. Kelly reviewed her notes on each of the scientific representatives, knowing that this meeting would test their preparation in new ways. While military species respected strength and merchants respected opportunity, scientists respected knowledge. The humans could not pretend to match galactic scientific advancement, but they could offer something equally valuable: a fresh perspective. As they were escorted through the gleaming corridors of the science sector, Kelly noticed the architecture changing, becoming more organic, with walls that seemed to pulse with life and floors that adjusted to their footsteps. The air itself felt different, charged with energy, and scented with something reminiscent of cinnamon and ozone. Their escort, a hovering drone, led them into a circular chamber where 7 beings waited. Each represented a different scientific discipline from different species and evolutionary paths. A massive brain suspended in nutrient fluid represented theoretical physics, while a swarm of tiny insects, moving as one collective intelligence, represented biological sciences. Welcome, humans, to the Hall of Knowledge. The biological swarm spoke, moving to form a roughly humanoid shape. We have observed your scientific development with interest. Your methods are chaotic, inefficient, and occasionally brilliant. Kelly bowed slightly, recognizing the statement as a compliment despite its wording. We have much to learn, she acknowledged. But perhaps our different approach to discovery might offer new perspectives on old problems. The brain in the fluid pulsed with light. Your species took only 3 centuries to move from primitive combustion to faster-than-light travel. It noted, most species require millennia for such advancement. This suggests dangerous acceleration or remarkable adaptability. Mia Reyes stepped forward. We believe it demonstrates our greatest strength, she said. Humans collaborate across disciplines. We do not separate science from art or intuition from logic. Our scientific method combines precision with creative hypothesis. For the next several hours, the human delegation engaged in the most challenging diplomatic exchange yet. The Science Directorate tested their knowledge, understanding, and approach to discovery. While they could not match the advanced knowledge of species with 1,000-year lifespans, their flexible thinking and unconventional approaches clearly intrigued the scientific representatives as they left the science sector. Kelly felt cautiously optimistic. We've given them something to consider, she told her team. The outcome now depends on the council vote tomorrow and how well we've countered the military bloc's influence. None of them saw the small drone that followed them recording their conversations, or the silent figure watching from the shadows. The first contact between humanity and the Galactic Council was being observed by more than just the official representatives, and the true test was yet to come. The final day of deliberation arrived with a tension that seemed to permeate the recycled air of the council station. Ambassador Kelly Adams stood before the mirror in her quarters, adjusting her formal diplomatic uniform, the dark blue material, with silver trim, represented Earth's oceans and atmosphere, as recommended by the cultural specialists back home. Though the symbolism would be lost on alien species, the uniform projected both dignity and authority. Dr. Foster entered looking concerned. I've analyzed the voting patterns of previous council sessions. He said the military bloc commands 30% of votes, Trade Federation, 25%, Science, Directorate, 20%. The remaining votes are spread among independent worlds. It doesn't look good for us. Kelly nodded thoughtfully, adjusting her collar. That's assuming traditional voting alliances hold, she replied. We've spent 3 days disrupting those expectations. The Raxan delegation has lost credibility. The merchants see opportunity and the scientists are intrigued. We only need to convince the Independents that humanity deserves a fair evaluation. A soft tone indicated someone at their door. Aaron Phillips opened it to find a small hovering drone. The Grand Arbiter requests the human delegation's presence 1 hour before the general session. The mechanical voice announced, "Private audience." The team exchanged surprised glances. Such meetings were rare according to the protocols they had studied. Kelly quickly adjusted her approach. "This could be very good or very bad," she said. "We need to prepare for both." 30 minutes later, the human delegation was escorted through unfamiliar corridors to a chamber they had not visited before. Unlike the grand public spaces, this room was intimate with walls that seemed to absorb sound and light, creating an atmosphere of absolute privacy. The Grand Arbiter waited alone, its crystalline body pulsing with subtle colors. "You have created quite a disturbance." Ambassador Adams the Arbiter said, its thoughts flowing directly into their minds. 3 days ago, you were expected to be classified as a protected primitive species, under provisional oversight with limited development rights. Today, half the Council argues for granting Earth provisional membership status. Kelly maintained a neutral expression. "We presented our case honestly," she replied. The Arbiter's colors shifted to deeper blues. "I have existed for 700 of your years and served as Arbiter for 200. In that time, I have seen 17 new species presented to the Council. 14 were classified as protected primitives, 2 were deemed threats and contained, 1 was granted limited trading rights. None were considered for membership." The Arbiter moved closer, towering over the human delegation. "Your species is dangerous," it stated, not as accusation but as observation. "You advance too quickly. You question too much. You do not accept your place." Kelly felt the others tense behind her, but she kept her voice steady. "Our place is not predetermined," she said respectfully. "We seek to find it through peaceful exchange and mutual benefit." The massive crystalline being studied her for a long moment. "I must inform you that there are factions within the Council who fear what humanity represents," it said. "These factions have presented evidence that Earth has been developing weapons capable of destroying entire fleets." Military advisor Jackson stepped forward slightly. "Any such evidence is fabricated," he stated firmly. "Our defensive capabilities are limited to our solar system." The Arbiter's colors flashed briefly. "Is that so?" it asked. "And the prototype vessels detected in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter? What purpose do they serve?" Kelly felt a chill run through her. This was information not even mentioned in their most classified briefings. How had the Council obtained it? The Arbiter was testing them, waiting for a lie that would confirm humanity's untrustworthiness. "Ambassador," Kelly made a split-second decision. "I am not authorized to discuss classified defense projects," she said calmly. "However, I can state with complete honesty that Earth has never developed weapons for offensive operations beyond our solar system or history has taught us the cost of aggression." The Arbiter's colors stabilized. "An interesting response," it noted. "Neither confirmation nor denial, but a statement of principle." The Council session begins in 30 minutes. Ambassador, you and your team should prepare. As they were escorted back to the main chambers, Aaron moved close to Kelly. "Did we just fail a test?" he whispered. Kelly shook her head. "The opposite," she replied. "They already knew about the Jupiter defense platform. They wanted to see if we would lie or tell the truth when confronted. The fact that they're still allowing the vote means we passed." The Council chamber had filled to capacity when the human delegation took their place at the central podium. Species from across the galaxy crowded the tiered seating with countless more watching via transmission. The Grand Arbiter called for order, and the chamber fell into expectant silence. The matter before the Council concerns the classification and status of species designation. Human homeworld Earth Sol System. Orion Spiral Arm, the Arbiter announced. "The accusations of illegal militarization have been investigated. Evidence suggests defensive development only within their native system." A rumble of communication spread through the chamber as various factions reacted to this announcement. Kelly noticed the Raxan delegation's obvious agitation, their feathers bristling with rage. The Arbiter continued. However, evidence also indicates accelerated weapons development. Beyond normal evolutionary patterns, the Security Council recommends classification as potential risk species, with restricted development protocols. Kelly felt her heart sink. This classification would effectively end Earth's independence, placing human development under alien supervision for centuries. Before the vote can proceed, a new voice called out, "I invoke the right of challenge." The chamber erupted in shocked exclamations as a figure moved from the shadows toward the central floor. A tall humanoid being with pale blue skin and silver eyes approached wearing the insignia of the Observer Corps, an ancient faction rarely involved in council politics. The Arbiter's crystalline form pulsed with surprise. "Observer Thalen, you invoke, a right not used in 7 centuries. What is your challenge?" The Observer looked around the chamber. "I challenge the classification on grounds of prejudicial evaluation," he stated. "The humans have been judged by standards applied to no other species. They were monitored without contact in violation of Protocol 7. They were subjected to deliberate incursions by the Raxan in violation of boundary treaties, and now they are to be classified as risks, despite following defensive protocols that this very council established." The chamber erupted again as accusations flew between factions. Kelly watched in amazement as the unexpected advocate continued dismantling the case against Earth point by point, citing ancient laws and treaties that even Dr. Foster had not discovered in his research. When order was finally restored, the Arbiter addressed the Observer. "Your challenge is noted. What alternative do you propose?" Observer. Thalen turned to face the human delegation directly. "I propose probationary status with full developmental rights and trade privileges," he said. "A monitoring outpost may be established in the Sol system, but Earth remains sovereign. The humans must be given the opportunity to prove themselves as potential allies, not subjects." The voting took nearly 3 hours as factions argued, debated, and negotiated. Kelly and her team could only wait as the future of their species was decided. The final tally showed Observer Thalen's proposal passing by the narrowest margin in council history, 3 votes. As the session concluded, Observer Thalen approached the human delegation. "I believe we have much to discuss." "Ambassador Adams," he said softly. "Not here. Meet me at Docking Bay 12 in 1 hour. Bring only those you trust completely." 1 hour later, Kelly, Aaron, and Mia made their way to the designated meeting point, having left Dr. Foster and Jackson to begin the formal documentation process with council administrators. The docking bay was quiet, almost deserted, except for a small unmarked vessel where Observer Thalen waited. "Thank you for coming," he said, gesturing them inside his ship. Once the door sealed, he activated electronic countermeasures. "Now we can speak freely. The council chambers are monitored constantly." Kelly studied the alien carefully. "Why did you help us?" she asked. "No one else even knew of your faction's existence until today." Thalen smiled, a surprisingly human expression. "We have been watching Earth for far longer than you know," he said. The Observer Corps was founded to identify species with potential to bring balance to a galaxy that has grown stagnant. Many civilizations develop technology, but few maintain the creative spark that drives true advancement. He activated a holographic display showing Earth's history from stone tools to space exploration. Humanity advances in bursts driven by competition and cooperation. He explained, "Most species plateau after achieving certain technologies, becoming conservative and risk-averse. Your kind continually disrupts its own achievements, questioning and rebuilding. So you want our innovation?" Mia suggested. Thalen shook his head. "We want balance," he corrected. "The military blocs seek conquest. The Trade Federation seeks profit. The Science Directorate seeks knowledge. None see the larger picture." "And what is that larger picture?" Aaron asked. "Something approaches from beyond the galactic rim." Thalen said, his voice growing solemn. "The Council ignores the warning signs, but the Observer Corps has monitored the signals for centuries. A civilization far more ancient and advanced than our own is returning, and they do not share, they consume." 6 months after returning from the Galactic Council station, Earth was transformed. Ambassador Kelly Adams stood at the window of the newly constructed Interstellar Diplomatic Center in Geneva, watching ships from a dozen alien worlds moving through the carefully controlled airspace. The impossible had become routine as humans adapted with remarkable speed to their new reality. As a recognized galactic species director, Elaine Morgan of Earth's Defense Force approached carrying data tablets. The Council monitoring station is now operational in lunar orbit, she reported. They've installed 12 observers, including 3 from Observer Thalen's faction. They scan everything, but so far have respected our sovereignty. Kelly nodded. Thalen has kept his word, she said. The technology exchanges are proceeding as agreed. 20 research centers across Earth are now working with alien scientists developing hybrid technologies. How are the defense upgrades progressing? Elaine's expression tightened. The Jupiter and Mars platforms are at 60% capacity. She said the Raxan delegation has filed 3 formal protests, claiming our defensive grid exceeds authorized parameters. Diplomat Aaron Phillips joined them, his formal attire indicating he had just come from a meeting with alien representatives. The Trade Federation has dismissed all Raxan complaints. He said they've invested too heavily in Earth markets to allow military intervention. Our export of cultural products alone has made 6 trading houses wealthy beyond imagination. Kelly smiled slightly. Human music, art, and entertainment had proven surprisingly popular throughout the galaxy. Apparently, alien species found human creativity novel and stimulating. Something, the science division had explained, as the result of Earth's unusual evolutionary history, with its high biodiversity and competitive pressure. Let the Raxan protest, she said. Their credibility is still damaged from the initial hearings. Have there been any new communications from Observer Thalen? Aaron shook his head. Nothing direct, he replied. But the Observer Corps representatives at the lunar station have requested a secure meeting tomorrow. They say they have information that cannot be transmitted electronically. Kelly's communicator chimed with a priority alert. Dr. Mia Reyes requesting her immediate presence at the Antarctic Research Facility, the most secure and advanced of Earth's new joint scientific ventures, Kelly signaled to her security team. We leave in 20 minutes, she said. Tell Dr. Reyes we're on our way. The hypersonic transport covered the distance to Antarctica, in under an hour, landing on a pad surrounded by massive energy shields that shimmered with iridescent light. The facility itself extended deep below the ice, utilizing both human and alien technology to create a research center unlike anything previously seen on Earth. Dr. Reyes met them at the entrance, her expression grave. Follow me, she said, leading them through security checkpoints staffed by both humans and aliens from the Science Directorate. What I'm about to show you is classified beyond even Council knowledge. She led them to a laboratory where a strange device occupied the center of the room. A spherical object approximately 1 meter in diameter hovered above a containment field, pulsing with shifting patterns of light that seemed to bend in impossible ways. We found it buried in the ice. 2 kilometers down, Dr. Reyes explained. Carbon dating puts it at approximately 3,000 years old, but the technology is far beyond anything in the current galactic database. Kelly approached carefully, staying behind the safety markers. What is it? She asked. Dr. Reyes activated a holographic display showing complex data streams. We believe it's a recording device, she said, but not like anything we've encountered. It doesn't store information as data. It preserves actual moments in space-time. A tall avian alien stepped forward from a workstation, its appearance similar to the Raxan, but with softer features and iridescent plumage. Professor Tarek led, xenoarchaeologist of the Science Directorate. We have managed to activate a small portion of its memory, he said. The implications are troubling, with careful manipulations of the control field. The alien scientist activated the device. The laboratory darkened as the sphere projected a 3-dimensional image that filled the room. Kelly gasped as they suddenly seemed to stand on an ancient Earth. Landscape ice covered much of the visible terrain, but the stars overhead were wrong, somehow arranged in patterns no human had ever seen. A massive ship descended from the sky, its design unlike anything in Council records. Beings emerged, tall, with multiple limbs and elongated heads. They moved with fluid grace across the ice, approaching a group of primitive humans who cowered before them. This is Earth. 3,000 years ago, Dr. Reyes whispered. But those aliens aren't in any Council database. The scene shifted, showing the aliens performing procedures on the humans. Some appeared to be medical examinations, others seemed more invasive. The primitive humans were clearly terrified, but unable to resist. Professor Tarek deactivated the projection. "Odd. Have identified 17 such incidents recorded in this device," he said, "spanning approximately 5,000 of your years. The aliens you saw appear to have been conducting experiments on early humans. Genetic manipulation, cognitive enhancement controlled, evolutionary acceleration." Kelly felt a chill run through her. "You're suggesting humans were deliberately engineered," she said. The alien scientist's feathers rippled, and what she had learned was an affirmative gesture. "Not created," he clarified. "Modified. Enhanced. The evidence suggests your natural evolution was accelerated in specific directions, most notably cognitive processing, creativity, and adaptability." Dr. Reyes brought up comparative DNA models. "Human genome mapping shows unexplained advanced development in several key areas," she explained. "Areas that drove our rapid technological advancement. We always assumed it was natural selection, but these recordings suggest intervention." Diplomat Aaron looked troubled. "Why would ancient aliens engineer primitive humans?" he asked. "We had no resources, no technology, nothing to offer an advanced species." "Professor." Tarek's eyes narrowed. "They were creating weapons," he said. "Simply put, your ancestors were being designed as biological weapons, adaptable, creative, destructive. The question is why and against whom?" The meeting with the Observer Corps representatives the following day brought no comfort to Kelly and her team. The 3 aliens, 1 humanoid, 1 insectoid, and 1 that appeared to be a living cloud of luminescent particles, met them in a secure chamber beneath the Lunar Monitoring Station. "We have reviewed your discovery from Antarctica," the humanoid observer stated. "We believe it confirms our worst fears. The ancient civilization we warned you about did not merely visit your world. They created your species for a purpose." Kelly maintained her diplomatic composure, though she felt shaken by the implications. "You're suggesting that whoever engineered early humans is the same civilization you believe is returning from beyond the galactic rim." The cloud of particles pulsed and shifted, forming complex patterns that the translator converted to speech. "Not merely suggesting, confirming. They are called the precursors. They dominated this galaxy before any current species evolved. They did not share worlds, they consumed them, extracting all resources before moving on." The insectoid observer stepped forward, clicking and chirping softly. "Approximately 5,000 of your years ago, they abandoned this galaxy after a catastrophic event our records cannot identify. They left behind monitoring devices and experimental subjects, including your ancestors. They appear to be returning now to reclaim what they consider theirs." Kelly exchanged troubled glances with Aaron and Dr. Reyes. "You're telling me humans were created as what exactly? Soldiers, slaves?" The humanoid observer's expression was solemn. "We believe you were designed as adaptive problem solvers. The precursors faced some crisis they could not overcome. They seeded potential solutions throughout the galaxy, modified species that might develop unique approaches. Your kind advanced the fastest, which is why the Observer Corps has watched Earth so carefully. So humanity's rapid development," Kelly began, "is both your greatest strength and the evidence of your artificial origin." The observer completed. "The council species fear you because on some instinctive level, they recognize you are different. You think differently. You adapt more quickly. You create unexpected solutions. It makes you dangerous, but it may also make you the galaxy's only hope." As Kelly and her team returned to Earth, they carried the burden of knowledge that would reshape humanity's understanding of its place in the universe. They were not merely a young species finding its way among ancient civilizations. They were created for a purpose by beings who might soon return to collect on their investment. In a secure conference room beneath Geneva, the Earth's leadership council gathered to hear Ambassador Adams's report. The room fell silent as the recordings from Antarctica played, showing ancient aliens manipulating human ancestors. When the presentation concluded, United Earth President Maria Alvarez spoke first. "You're telling me that not only are we not alone in the universe, but our very existence as humans was engineered by an ancient alien species that now appears to be returning. Kelly nodded. That is the conclusion supported by both the artifact evidence and the Observer Corps records, she confirmed. 1 year after the discovery of the Antarctic artifact, humanity stood at a crossroads. The Prometheus Protocol had advanced with remarkable speed as the best minds from Earth worked alongside select alien scientists trusted with knowledge of the precursors. Ambassador Kelly Adams now held the title of Galactic Affairs Director, overseeing humanity's growing presence in interstellar politics. Her office in the orbital diplomatic station above Earth provided a view of both her homeworld and the stars beyond. Observer Thalen arrived for their scheduled meeting, his silver eyes reflecting the Earth visible through the viewport. The council session begins tomorrow, he said without preamble. The Raxon delegation has called for a review of Earth's status. They claim your defensive developments violate the terms of your probationary membership. Kelly sighed, moving to the secure conference table. Those defensive developments may be the only thing standing between the galaxy and extinction. When the precursors return, she replied. Thalen nodded grimly. 3 more ancient monitoring devices have been discovered on worlds across the galaxy. He said all show signs of recent activation. The Science Directorate estimates no more than 5 years before precursor scout ships reach Council space. What about the prototype? Kelly asked. Thalen activated a secure holographic display showing a massive installation hidden within Mars's largest crater. The quantum shield generator is at 80% functionality. He said your scientists have successfully integrated precursor design principles from the Antarctic device with current technology. The result is unlike anything the Council races have developed, a shield that exists partially outside normal space-time. Dr. Mia Reyes entered the office carrying data tablets that she placed on the conference table. The interface problems have been solved, she announced. The shield can be extended to cover an area the size of Earth's moon. Initial tests show it can withstand energy weapons 50 times more powerful than anything in the Council. Arsenal. Kelly studied the technical specifications. We still don't know if it will be enough against precursor weapons, she said. They may have advanced significantly during their absence from the galaxy. Their conversation was interrupted as alarms blared throughout the station. Kelly activated the command interface. What's happening? She demanded. The security officer's voice came through clearly. Unidentified vessels have appeared at the edge of the solar system, they reported, moving at impossible speeds. Council monitoring station confirms they match no known configuration. Kelly's blood ran cold. Put me through to Earth Defense Command. She ordered Initiate Prometheus Protocol Alpha informed the Council representatives immediately. Within minutes, the orbital station became a hub of frantic activity as diplomatic personnel from a dozen worlds gathered in the Emergency Command Center. Observer Thalen stood beside Kelly as the main view screen showed the approaching vessels. 7 ships of enormous size, their design, featuring sweeping curves and angular protrusions that seemed to bend reality around them. The Raxon ambassador pushed his way to the front of the gathered diplomats. Those are not precursor vessels, he declared, his feathers bristling. They are human ships attempting to create a false crisis. Kelly turned to face him with cold fury. Do you think we would fabricate this? She asked as the data feeds showed the vessels accelerating toward Earth at speeds that defied Council physics. These ships are using propulsion technology beyond anything we possess. The lead vessel has entered communication range. The communications officer announced, putting the signal through to the command center. The view screen shifted, showing a being unlike any Kelly had seen in the Council chambers. Tall, with elongated limbs and a head featuring multiple eyes arranged in patterns around a central sensory cluster. Its skin shimmered with colors that seemed to shift between the visible spectrum and something beyond. Monitoring Station 7921. We have returned, the being stated, its voice translated through the computer systems. Our subjects have advanced as designed. Prepare for evaluation and harvesting. The command center erupted in chaos as diplomats from across the galaxy realized they were facing the legendary precursors, not as myth, but reality. Kelly maintained her composure, activating the secure channel to Earth Initiate Prometheus shield, she ordered. Prepare for emergency council evacuation protocols. Observer Thalen stepped forward, addressing the precursor directly. This system is under protection of the Galactic Council, he stated formally. Your claim has been suspended due to abandonment. The precursor's colors shifted in what might have been amusement. Your Galactic Council is irrelevant, it replied. We seeded this galaxy with experimental populations to serve our purposes. The humans have developed according to parameters. Our property rights supersede your political constructs. Kelly moved to stand beside Thalen. Earth is a sovereign world ambassador. She stated, we acknowledge our modified origins, but reject any claim of ownership. Humanity chooses its own path. The precursor's multiple eyes focused on Kelly with disturbing intensity. Interesting, it said. The subject species displays expected cognitive development, but unexpected independence. Protocol requires evaluation. Before reclamation. Before Kelly could respond, the precursor vessel fired a beam of energy, unlike anything in Council records. It struck Earth's atmosphere, creating a ripple effect visible from orbit. Sensors screamed warnings as the beam began systematically scanning the planet's surface. Dr. Reyes monitored the readings with growing alarm. They're mapping genetic patterns, she realized. They're identifying which humans showed the specific traits they engineered. Kelly turned to the Council representatives, now huddled in frightened groups. You've seen their intentions, she said. They view all life in this galaxy as their property to harvest. The Raxan, who feared our weapons development, the Trade Federation, who saw only profit, the Science Directorate, who prized knowledge above all. Now you see the threat the Observer Corps warned about. This is why humanity developed defenses beyond Council limitations. The Galactic Council members watched in stunned silence as the precursor ships deployed smaller vessels heading toward Earth's surface. Kelly activated the planetary defense network, but the alien weapons easily overwhelmed the authorized Council-level technology. Director, we're receiving reports of abductions from major population centers. The security officer reported. The smaller ships are targeting specific individuals, genetic scientists, artists, problem solvers. Kelly looked to Observer Thalen. Is the Mars installation ready? She asked quietly. He nodded. The shield generator is operational, but untested, he replied. It may protect Earth, but the consequences of activating such technology are unknown. The power requirements alone will drain our reserves. Kelly took a deep breath. If we wait, we lose everything, she said. Diplomat Aaron contact. The Earth Defense Council authorization. Prometheus Omega across the command center view screens showed precursor vessels descending toward Earth's major cities. The gathered council representatives watched in horror as the technologically superior ships began systematic abduction of humans. The Raxan ambassador stepped forward, his posture now submissive. What can we do? He asked, all previous hostility gone from his voice. Kelly addressed the gathered representatives. The precursors created humanity as tools, she said, but they made one crucial error. They designed us to find solutions to problems they couldn't solve. In doing so, they gave us the capacity to resist them. She activated the command sequence that would trigger the Mars installation. Humanity has integrated the Antarctic artifacts technology with our own understanding of quantum mechanics. She explained, we've created a shield unlike anything in the Council database, a defensive system that exists partially outside normal space-time. On the view screens, the precursor ships continued their harvest of selected humans. When the command reached the Mars facility, a pulse of energy unlike anything the Council species had witnessed before erupted from the red planet. The wave expanded, at impossible speed, engulfing Earth, the Moon, and the surrounding space. The precursor vessels froze in place, caught in a field that seemed to bend light around them. Their energy weapons fired, but the beams disappeared into the distorted space-time, never reaching their targets. Inside, the shield Earth continued to exist normally, but outside time moved differently. The precursor ships appeared to slow, then stop, completely frozen between moments. What have you done? The Raxan ambassador whispered, staring at the impossible sight. We've created a temporal barrier, Dr. Reyes explained. Inside, the shield time passes normally. Outside, the shield time has been dramatically slowed. The precursors are experiencing time at such a decelerated rate that They appear frozen to us. Kelly watched the view screen with grim satisfaction. "We've bought ourselves time," she said. "The shield will hold for approximately 5 years from our perspective. During that time, we'll be isolated from the rest of the galaxy, but we'll have the opportunity to develop the technology needed to truly defend ourselves." Observer Thalen studied the readings with astonishment. "You've done what no council race has achieved in millennia," he said. "You've turned the precursor zone technology against them. They engineered you to find solutions, and you found one they never anticipated." The council representatives looked at the humans with new understanding. The species they had dismissed as primitive newcomers had developed a defense beyond their comprehension, a defense that might save